Hello everybody and welcome to today's Q&A on ChatGPT, how to use it to grow your business. So I've got some slides I'm going to take you all through and going to be available to answer your questions. So please feel free in the comments box to put your questions in there. And what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on them as best I can and either answer them as part of the slide that I'm on or answer them at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So in terms of an introduction to ChatGPT, so if you haven't heard of it before, ChatGPT means Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which is obviously a very long word. So ChatGPT is much easier to say. So it's designed to be a conversational AI model that works best in English. It's the fastest growing consumer application in history. Over the last 2 months, it's reached 100 million active users. It's a statistical model that's been trained and its learning has been refined. If you've been on ChatGPT before, you'll see that there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down and a feedback process. So that's going to continue to refine its processes and the way it does things. So with this, it's important to remember that it's something that's been trained rather than it's live and human. So natural language processors, which make up AI content creators, are capable allowing for the generation of text that closely mimics human language. It can be used to generate text from scratch or to improve existing text by adding context or correcting errors. It can be used to quickly create complex documents such as reports, summaries, and essays, and can be used to generate text in multiple languages. The text can be generated in a variety of styles. So you can tell ChatGPT that you want the text to be very formal, or you want it to be creative, factual, or humorous. Now, there are limitations of ChatGPT. So it has a hard time saying that it doesn't know or doesn't understand the information that you are giving it. And it isn't human. So I'm going to be repeating this because it's really important to remember that. So it doesn't know what it's actually like to experience something. And the reason why I think it's important to remember that is because I know that there's a lot of fear at the moment around ChatGPT, how it's going to impact publishers and how it's going to impact their business, which I can totally understand. But I think the important thing is to remember that it isn't human. It's a statistical model and it's an echo chamber of everything that's been put into it. So it doesn't reason or understand what you ask. It can give plagiarized answers. It can give inaccurate information, and it can duplicate text in the content it gives as well. It's also important to remember that it's in its infancy, so there are potential lawsuits that are coming up, and also there are AI detector apps that are either already been built or in the process of being built as well. With these AI detector apps, it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out, because I was reading in preparation for this presentation, and one AI detector app was fed the Bible, and they said that was likely to have been created by AI content. So that is in itself is another factor to AI created content to see sort of what impact the AI detector apps have. And the information that you add into it becomes part of its learning and part of the public domain. So again, this is really important to remember, because your information, you may not want to be made public, or you may not want it to be part of its learning process. Online computer courses is waived. Hello, welcome to the presentation today. And as said, how to make money with ChatGPT. No problem at all. I've got that question answered in a few slides time, so please bear with me and I'll be able to get that answer to you. So in terms of the benefits of ChatGPT, I actually asked ChatGPT what the benefits were, and it said around better targeted marketing, increased efficiency, streamlining content creating, improving search engine optimization, and being able to reach and engage with a wider audience. So one of the important things to remember is in terms of what has recently happened around Google's approach to AI generated content. So previously, AI generated content was always seen to be that if you had it within your website, that Google wouldn't rank you. So with the explosion of ChatGPT and the real interest around it from a publishing point of view, Google has recently explained and qualified their sort of feelings on it. And they've said, when it comes to automatically generated content, our guidance has been consistent for years. Using automation, including AI, to generate content with the primary purpose of manipulating ranking in search results is a violation of our spam policies. They said it's important to recognise that not all uses of automation, including AI generation, is spam. So it says that automation has long been used to generate helpful content, and AI has the ability to power new levels of expression and creativity and serve as a critical tool to help people create great content for the web. And I think this is really important to remember in terms of your approach to using ChatGPT. And obviously there's other AI generated content models out there as well. Think of it as a tool to use to help improve your writing, not as a way that you can put a few sentences in there and get all your content out and just copy and paste it in. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. So the important question is how to use it to grow your business. So as part of my sort of research for this presentation, I used ChatGPT over the weekend to create content for my website. And what I got from it was how useful it was to be able to give you ideas and be able to kind of give you a rolling start to your content creation process. So you might have heard of this before, called the straw man process. So this is when from a proposal point of view, you put together a sort of very basic proposal, give it to your colleagues, they then edit it, sort of pull it apart if you like, and then by the end of it you have what's called a stone man or iron man proposal, which is the one that actually gets put forward. And this is what I would recommend using ChatGPT for. Use it as a way to be able to get a rolling start on your content so that you've got something to begin with, because it's much, much easier to pull something apart and add to it rather than kind of sit there with a blank sheet of paper and be like, oh, what am I going to write about? How am I going to structure it? And that can take a lot of your time, which particularly if you're a smaller publisher and sort of a one-person band, that you just don't have that level of time to be able to grow your business. So from that, it's important to remember that what we've looked at in terms of the limitations of ChatGPT around test, checking and refining. So what you definitely don't want to do is take that content and just copy and paste it into your site. Whilst we don't know what the future brings, I have a very strong feeling, and this is me as a person rather than anything else, that if readers come to a website and just kind of see copy and pasted content, they're not going to spend that much time on there because it's not going to connect in with them. They're going to bounce off, or your user experience metrics are going to drop. So use ChatGPT to have that kind of straw man policy. Test the content it gives you, double check it, make sure there's no duplications, no plagiarism, no false information, and then refine it. Add your own unique voice, add your own perspective to the content, and make sure you're focusing on EAT. So this is expertise, authoritativeness, and trust as well. So if you're someone who's a doctor and you're writing about a website that contains information on medical concerns and medical advice, obviously the experience and authoritativeness that you bring to that website is going to help you to get the right information to your readers. And Google is going to want to respond to that and put that further up the rankings than perhaps someone who's using ChatGPT to ask a question, copy and paste the answer in, and isn't a doctor or doesn't have medical background to it. So when you're using ChatGPT, you want to give it specific prompts. Remember, it's a statistical model and an echo chamber. It's not human, so it can't understand the way a human can. So give it information one paragraph at a time, one sentence at a time, so that it can understand what you're looking it to do. One of the things that we recommend using ChatGPT for is ask it to list frequently asked questions and answers, and ask it to summarize an article for social media as well. I haven't put it on here, but one thing I'd recommend using it for is just to have fun with it and to put in keywords that perhaps might not seem connected, and ask it to come up with a keyword. I did that for one of my websites, and it opened up a whole new category of content that I could write about that I never would have thought of writing about before. I obviously checked it. I didn't take it as gospel in terms of the keyword that it gave me. I put it into Google. I understood more about it, and that opened up another category of my business that I just wouldn't have come across before. So I think, have fun with it from that point of view, and just see what it comes up with. But do remember that test, check and refine process before you put that content on your website. So here's how I would use it if I was a publisher. And remember, this is in its infancy. So the advice that we give today may not be the same as the advice that we give in 6 months or a year's time. But this is how I would use it. And you can use this again as a straw man to then be able to adapt it and how to use it for your business. So first of all, if you've got niche IQ topics, I would look in there, find keywords that appeal to you, and ask ChatGPT to create a title connected to that topic. So then once ChatGPT gives you that title, check it with the articles that we've got about the guidance of how to write really great headlines. And then once you've got that article published, refine it using Tag Tester so that you can make sure that you're taking the best of all AI, because obviously tools like Tag Tester is based on AI as well, where you can use the AI in Tag Tester to be able to see the user experience metrics of that particular title, and then you can further refine it from there. I then asked ChatGPT what the most frequently asked questions are about that particular title, and then again check, test and refine. And this gives you a rolling start for your content. It's up to you how much of your content you want to take from ChatGPT. I would just be mindful around adding your unique perspective to it, adding your own unique voice, and checking the facts as well, because ChatGPT doesn't know how to say no to you. It's a people pleaser, if you like. So if it doesn't have the answer, it's going to give you the answer it thinks that you want, and that might not be accurate. So please be mindful of that, and please be mindful of plagiarism as well. What you want to be careful of is that you're not asking ChatGPT to write a 3,000 word article based on one title, because there's a huge potential there that it's going to scrape content from other websites, and that's going to mean that you've got scraped content on your site. That puts you in a very difficult position from an AdSense point of view, because they don't allow scraped content, and also puts you in a difficult position if a publisher then tracks that back and sees that on your site. So again, I go back to the analogy of using this as a straw man, and then using your unique voice, and making sure you check, test and refine the text it gives you. Do remember to create a Flickify video and add that to your website page as well. And then do remember to use ChatGPT to help you summarize the article for social media and share that as well, because that can really help you speed up that process and get that information out to your readers much quicker. And then what I would recommend doing is checking big data analytics to see the UX positions compared to other pages. And you can use that data to then refine your process and find one that works for you. So that brings me to the end of my slides there. I'm going to go on to questions next. Thank you for all of them. I've seen them dropping in now, so I'll go to your questions next. Just wanted to let anybody know who's watching this on replay, if you go to community at Ezoic, there is a pinned article at the top about this webinar. I'll keep an eye on all your questions from there and be able to answer those for you. And I'll also add those slides in as well so that you can refer back to them. So, okay, so I'm going to head over to questions now and get through as many of them as I can. So bear with me. So Simon has waved. Hi, Simon. Thank you for joining me. Viral News has said, hey, Heather, no fear of ChatGPT here. This is just the tipping point, and while transformers can generate text, they really fall short in adding the human element that makes a lot of content valuable. Yeah, I completely agree, Viral News. I think that's what's got me so excited about ChatGPT is that you have a standing start, you have a rolling start to any content that you create, and it's about adding the human element to it to really make it connecting with your readers, and to really be able to give that value in terms of the perspective that you have, and it just makes everything so much quicker because you've only got so much time to create content. And if you're lucky, you've got a team of people that you can pay to be able to create that content. But most publishers, especially at the Access Now level, they don't have that budget. It's just them. So ChatGPT to me is a game changer particularly for publishers who are just starting out, to use it in a way that's really going to elevate their business in a much quicker way than they could do before. Okay, so Danisha Silva has said it's better than Jasper. Queefy Lover has said hello. Hello, thank you for joining me. Kieran Paul has said hi, thank you for joining me. So Viral News has said, I'm glad that Ezoic is embracing ChatGPT. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, it's something that we're really excited about, and just really excited to watch how it's all going to unfold at every level within business, but obviously particularly within publishing. So Marjo has said, watching now. Thank you for joining me. Queefy Lover has said, we are a new coming startup that is creating a new sharing content platform, and we are interested in your Ezoic monetization services to add a monetization system to our platform. Google provides a monetization system called AdSense for platforms. You can search about it, but you want to add a similar system to our platform with you. Thank you so much, Queefy Lover. We'd love to welcome you on board. What I do with these Q&A sessions is I focus them largely on the particular topic that we're looking into, so that we can answer as many questions as that we can. So what I would recommend doing with that query is if you reach out to if you search Google for Ezoic, and you'll be able to find out how to connect your site from there. We've got about 10 minutes left before we finish today. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask about ChatGPT, do let me know. I know that there has been a lot of concerns out there, and a lot of interest in terms of how to use it to grow your business. So I'd love to be able to answer your questions from there. Okay, what I'll do is, while I'm waiting for the questions to come in, is I'll just start sharing some links in the comment section so that you can bookmark them if you would like to use them later. So some of them are from Wikipedia. So obviously you can, sort of Google that if you like and find them. But just thought it would be useful for you to have them if you do want to. Do want to bookmark them while you're on the call. So I've shared the first one about ChatGPT and its history. This is about the straw man proposal. I find it really interesting. So if you want to read more about that as well. So this next article that I'm going to share is the Zoic article about how to write killer headlines. That I think is really useful because obviously your headlines really help your readers to understand what your content is about and obviously to grab their attention as well. So the better you can get at writing headlines, the more potentially traffic you're going to get coming through, but also the lower bounce rate that you're going to have as well. So Simon Hartley has said, I do not have questions at the moment. However, thank you for this presentation. It was very informative. You're so welcome, Simon. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so the last question I've got as well, the last link, apologies, that I've got as well is the OpenAI pricing model. And obviously we aren't suggesting that you do price it, pay for it. Obviously that's up to you in terms of a business decision. I haven't looked into this, from my own business point of view, whether I would want to pay for the OpenAI or not. I just thought it was interesting to share with you folks so that you've got the information. And obviously on there's a lot of information about the research in terms of OpenAI, the wider blog as well, documents and examples that if you're new to AI and wanting to find out more about it, then that article helps you. Obviously it's outside of Ezoic, so we can't give you any information on it beyond sort of sharing the articles, but if it's something that you are interested in, I wanted to be able to provide that for you today so that you've got that. So Omar has said, thanks for embracing ChatGPT. No problem at all. You're so welcome. Okay, so we haven't got any more questions that have come in about ChatGPT. So just while I'm waiting for any more questions to come in, Creepy Lover, I'll go and get the link for you to be able to find out more about Ezoic. Bear with me, I'll be back in just a minute. There we go. Queefy Lover, I've popped that link in there. If you go to that link, you'll then be able to follow our process to get started with Ezoic. So Majo has said, publishers will no longer be able to protect their content. No, that is one of the interesting things about these kind of language models and AI content. And it's why I mentioned in terms of what could be happening around lawsuits and AI sort of checkers, if you like. Apologies, I can't think of the word that I want to use at the minute, but yeah, the AI checkers to check whether it is AI content. Everything's just in its infancy at the moment, and we just don't know what's going to happen. I was reading an article ahead of today, which talks about how if you don't want your internet, your content to be on the internet and crawled by robots, you can obviously put the no indexing rule on your content. But at the moment, there's no way to be able to put a don't use my content in ChatGPT sort of plugin or element of code to your site. But we don't know what's going to come about in the coming weeks or months, I believe. And I don't know the details, but I do believe there's been a court case in Australia around this. And so I think that what is interesting is how this is going to change and develop. It's really exciting from our point of view to be able to share this information with you in terms of how to to grow your business and how to use it. But what we also want to, Omar has said AI detectors. Thank you so much, Omar. I couldn't remember that word. Thank you. So yeah, what's really interesting is to see how search engines are going to react, how publishers are going to react, how advertisers are going to react, and we just don't know. Because they all rely on each other. You know, AI content creations are trained using books, they're trained using websites, as well as humans sort of pretending to be the AI, and then a human, you know, being a human, so that the process can be refined. But we just don't know sort of what's going to come about, whether there is going to be a way that you can protect your content that's out there, so that you don't want it as part of you know, AI's sort of learning system. But yeah, as soon as we do know anything, we'll certainly bring it to you. So moving on to our next question, Omar has said, you mentioned about Access Now. What would be the minimum number of articles that are AI generated with human expertise added to be able to join Access Now? This is a really good question, Omar. It's changed recently. So previously, in line with Google, we wouldn't allow websites onto Ezoic that had AI generated content on there. But with the clarification around what Google has said around AI generated content, then our policies have changed as well, where you can build your website using AI generated content. And the important part as well to remember is that human expertise that you've added in there. You can add your articles in there. They can be all AI generated content with that human expertise element added into it. And you're welcome to join Ezoic. We'd love to have you on board. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you in terms of how the AI generated content is doing. In terms of Access Now, what we would recommend in terms of the number of articles is we don't have any sort of lower limits of articles that you can have on your site. Access Now is about publishers who are first starting out. We have found, though, that to get approved with Google Ad Manager, that websites need to have about 50 articles on them. So that's not to say you will definitely have Google Ad Manager approval for that domain with 50 articles, but around that is a good sort of ballpark figure to start off with. So if you're going to be creating a new website, then I would recommend aiming for that and then going from there. Okay, so we've just got a couple of minutes left. Thank you all so much for your questions today and for joining me. If you do have any more questions about ChatGPT or AI generated content, I'll be here for another couple of minutes longer before we close the call. Just while I've got you, just wanted to let you know about the live learning sessions that I do on YouTube on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. on GMT as well. So those are sessions where you can ask anything about Ezoic, the tools, your data, any concerns you have, but also the wider publishing space as well. So ChatGPT, SEO, you know, anything along those lines. I'd love to be able to help you in a live session where I can't help you directly, either because of privacy concerns, keep your account secure, or because it's not a question I've been asked before. I'll make sure that you've got the next steps to be able to get that question answered as well. So Omar has said, how do you expect publishers' income to be impacted when the answer will be given in SERPs in Google and Bing? I don't know. This is a really interesting one, Omar, and is interesting in terms of how everything is going to change. We don't expect the changes to happen immediately, but we do think that the whole publishing business will change. It seems likely in terms of what AI generated content can do, but also how Google and Bing are reacting to building in elements of AI generated sort of answers into their search engines. I think what's also important to remember around that is what niche your website is in and how much of an expert you are in that niche. Because AI generated content is technology, it is AI, it is trained, and it's an echo chamber. It's only as valuable on the subject that it's been trained in, if that makes sense. So if you're a particular expert in your area, then maybe your income will go up because you're able to write more content and you're able to sort of have fun with ChatGPT and find new keywords like I did that you perhaps would never have thought of before, and that will grow your business in a positive way. If you're someone who isn't an expert in that field and is copying and pasting the information ChatGPT gives you, then my guess is in all likelihood that the income will go down. And I think this is why, and this is just my thoughts rather than we know anything, because obviously it's just in its infancy. But my thoughts are that from a reader's point of view, if you're going on to a really helpful website, you're going to stay on that website for longer. If you're an expert in that area, that you've written that content, then even though it's been based on AI, your reader's going to connect in with that better. Whereas if it's a sort of copy and pasted AI content, then your reader is going to leave that website page much quicker. And so again, that in itself is going to impact your revenue, but also the position on SERP results as well. So I think from my perspective, I think this is why, as a publisher, it's really important to sort of get in now in terms of using ChatGPT, especially with Ezoic, because you can quantify the results that you're doing using big data analytics and seeing the impact that the AI content has had on your user experience metrics, and then tweak and adjust it from there. Your readers are giving you live feedback in terms of what they like and don't like about the content, and you can find really interesting ways to use ChatGPT, as well as that human element as well, which is really important to be able to add that to your content. And that test, check and refine process is really important as well. So Omar said, this has been very useful. The human element with expertise that provides helpful content will definitely bring value. Just wish we could protect that new content that we produce. Yeah, it is really interesting, that, isn't it, in terms of the protection aspect of that new content. And we just don't know what's going to happen around that. As soon as we do know anything, though, we'll certainly bring it to you, and certainly useful. And I know your to-do lists as publishers are very, very long, and you've got so much different things to juggle. But if you can, just worth keeping a half an eye on AI generated content. Sort of follow different companies on Twitter, if you're someone who likes Twitter, or sign up to different newsletters, or go Google different subjects, just to kind of keep yourself updated. Certainly at the moment things are changing very, very fast, so Ezoic will keep you updated as best we can with the information that we have, because we're learning all the time as well, and because it's all so new, nobody's an expert at the moment. It's all just sort of experimentation and what we understand of it. So I hope that helps. Thank you all so much for joining me and for all your questions today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.